Welcome to the 26th chapter of the book of Exodus. We are now being given the dimensions and the items for the sanctuary, which includes the tent. And the first one are the curtains, hooks, and hoops. Those are the curtains that go around the sanctuary. And I believe this is the ones they're talking about here. All of these. And it's all takes a lot of, what's the word for it, computing and figuring it out. To putting something together like that and all the different dimensions takes a better person than I. I know the words and what they mean, but I'm not that great at math and especially diagramming things. Didn't do very well in school. I was like in the 20%. They used to have these tests, and they would have something that looked like a box that would be opened up with perforations, and if you fold it, what does it look like, and long or round or whatever, and I'd get 20%. So I'm not the best when it comes to this whole thing, but the words I do know. And it starts out for the skeening, the tent, the skeenies. We get the word a scene because the early plays and so forth were done in tents. And so they call it scenes, and it came from skeeny, a tent. So you shall make the tent, for the tent, a deca 10 curtains from out of linen, being twined. Means it was some type of a material that was a cotton type material, woven, that was iakinthu is hyacinth, it's a derivative, means blue, and purple and scarlet, being twined with cherubim, with cherubim, so some type of a picture of these cherubim with their wings and so forth on these curtains. As a work of a weaver, you shall make them. So they were woven with a weaver, and they had the loom and so forth, where you've seen these pictures, and they put the twine, the warp, and the woof and the warp, and it crosses over, and they pull it down and tighten it, and it's really beautiful and interesting how they do it. Still do it today. So as a hobby, and then machinery does the same thing, but it's huge machines. And so you shall make them a work of a weaver. Mikos, the length of one curtain, 8 and 20 cubits. That would be 210 feet long. Now the 8 and 20 cubits, and the breadth of 4 cubits shall be to the one curtain, and there's 28 cubits times 18 inches divided by 12, and 28. Let's do it. 28 8 times 18 cubits divided by 12 is 42 feet. And 6 foot would be the breadth, and this actually what's actually the height of the curtain. So one curtain is 42 feet. Now, how much area it covers with the posts, I'm not sure if it even says, and it says the height of 4 cubits, that's 6 foot, shall be to the one curtain. The same measure shall be to all the curtains, and 5 curtains will be to one another, being held. So the 5 curtains would make it 210 foot long, I believe, and being held the other from out of the other. Then they have these hooks and hoops and hooks. We'll find out about that. And 5 curtains will be of one another, being held the other from out of the other, and the north and the south. And you shall make for them ankylos. Down here I have it highlighted. Should have been highlighted up here. First instance, we have an ankle, a loop, an ankyla comes from that. An angle, a hoop, loop of Cynthias, a blue. So there was some kind of a woven hook where they could put a hook in it, put them together. Blue upon the edge of the one curtain, joining from out of the one part to the coupling, and thus you shall make upon the edge of the outer curtain for the second coupling. 50 loops you shall make for the one curtain, and 50 loops you shall make from out of the part of the curtain corresponding to the coupling of the second, facing headlong into one another. So I'm guessing that this 50 on the top. We'll go back here, and so the hoops come together, and then the hoops here tie into these pieces that go across, and it hangs down. That's the best I can come up with from what it's talking about here. And you shall make the 50 hooks of gold, and you shall join together the curtains one to the other to the hooks, and the tent will be one. Now, now I'm questioning if the tent, if that's the whole, if that's just the inner part. If it is, it would be 200 feet. And here we have the temple, so that in the size of a football field is 100 yards, 300 feet. So that would be about 100 feet here. So I don't know where these dimensions, 200 foot, 10 foot long by 3 rows. It's really difficult for me to be able to accurately describe all this. It's very frustrating because I like to know exactly what everything is, but I've always had trouble with the math and everything in this part of the Bible. It's the most difficult for me to understand exactly what it's for. I know what a hook and a loop is for. The skenes is the tent. Now, was the tent considered that edge that goes all around? I would say that was the sanctuary, but whatever. And then we go down, it changes in verse 7 to the now, and you shall make hide coverings of hair for protection upon the tent. 11 hide coverings you shall make them. And the length of the one hide covering will be 30 cubits, and 4 cubits for the breadth. It's 45 by 6 foot. You make 11 of these hide coverings, and they went on top of the tent. And I believe it's right here. It has right over here these different hide coverings, covering of ram, skin, dyed goat, and so forth. Again, this is the best I can come up with. And you shall join the 5 hide coverings to the same, and the 6 hide coverings to the same, and you shall double up the breadth. You shall double up the 6 hide covering in front of the tent. Now, so if you understand all that, I'm glad. And you shall make 50 loops upon the edge of the one hide covering in the middle by the coupling, and 50 loops you shall make upon the edge of the hide covering joining the second. So these loops and hooks to put them together, and you shall make 50 brass hooks, and you shall join together the hooks from out of the loops, and shall join together the hide coverings, and it shall be one to cover over. And you shall set the extra in the hide coverings of the tent, the half of the hide covering being left over, you shall cover over for the extra of the hide coverings of the tent. So there's something covering over that hangs over, and you shall cover up behind the tent with this overage. I think it's called selvage. A cubit from out of this side and a cubit from out of that side. It's 18 inches from out of the superior part of the hide coverings, from out of the length of the hide coverings of the tent. and it will be to cover over the sides of the tent on this side and that, so that it should be covered, so it hangs over. Now in that picture, it shows these going way down here, but I'm not sure if that's accurate or not. But everybody's trying to do the best they can with this. And you shall make an overcovering of the tent, skins of rams dyed red, coverings of skins of blue on top. So there we go, all that in that picture of those coverings that are going on top. Now it gets a little bit easier here for the items of the tent. And you shall make posts for the tent from out of incorruptible wood. A post is generally vertical. 10 cubits you shall make the one post. So here I'm not sure. It might be a horizontal rod, because 10 cubits is 100, would be 118 inches. So let's go back, do it again. I had it down here. So we've got 10 cubits, one post. So 10 is, we know, is 1,880 inches divided by 12 is 15 feet. So that couldn't be 15 feet high. And so I'm thinking these are the length 15, and somehow they were joined together. It says 10 cubits you shall make the one, and 1 cubit and a half the width of the one post. So, I mean, 1.5 cubits, and that couldn't be the width of a post. So the width between the one post. Anyway, 2 joints to the one post. So they are going to join together, resting headlong against another to the other. Thus you shall make to all the posts of the tent. So they join together, the end to the end, and you shall make the posts for the tent, 20 posts from the side towards the south, and 40 bases of silver you shall make for the 20 posts. Now these could be vertical ones here, 20 of them on the side towards the south, going up, and 40 bases, that would be up in the top and at the bottom, you shall make for the 20 posts. 2 bases to the one post for both its ends, that is, and 2 bases to the other one post for both its parts. Unless I don't know, unless this is all, this is what it says, what exactly it is. I'm frustrated because it's just difficult for me, but anyway. And the second side towards the north, 20 posts. So anyway, we know there's a northern and a southern part, and 40 bases for them made of silver. 2 bases to the one post for both of its parts, and 2 bases to the other one post for both its parts. And at the rear of the tent, by the part towards the west, you shall make 6 posts. So this is what I'm guessing, that they go up, and then these other poles go through. And the 2 posts you shall make at the corners of the tent from out of the posteriors. So that would make 8. And they shall be of equal below, and according to the same measurement, they shall be equal from the heads unto the one coupling. And you shall make to both the 2 corners, and let them be equal. And there shall be 8 posts, and their bases of silver 16, and 2 bases to the one post, and 2 bases to the other one post. And you shall make bars from out of incorruptible wood, 5 to the posts, from the one part of the tent. So that's the bars that go across. 5 bars to the posts to the second side of the tent, and 5 bars for the posts to the posterior side of the tent towards the west. So we know that this tent is, this would be the west, north, and south, and this is the east. And so somebody that enjoys going through all this and trying to figure it all out will have a reward, because in the Greek you have a different differentiation with certain words that have a meaning that may be different than the Hebrew, but yet when you see the two and put them together, you can figure out exactly what they are. We've got a middle bar in between the posts. I don't know what middle bar that would be, but let it penetrate from the one side into the other side. And the posts you shall gild in gold. So they are golden posts. And the rings you shall now, don't, what rings is it talking about? It doesn't mention any rings. You shall make of gold, unless the bars, it says, into which you shall insert the bars. So there we go. The bars are probably horizontal. And you shall gild the bars in gold. And you shall raise the tent according to the form being shown to you in the mountain. So now it's probably talking about the inner tent here, and this is all the parts that are made of it, made to make it up. Now we go into the veil. And you shall make a veil from out of iacinthus, hyacinth, blue, and purple, and scarlet, being twined again, and linen being spun. You shall make it a woven work with cherubim, again the cherubim on it. And you shall place it upon 4 posts of incorruptible wood, being gilded in gold. And this is the veil is this part inside, number 3 here. It's on these 5 pieces, the posts, and somehow it's attached to them. Golden bars, posts. And the tips of them shall be in gold, and their 4 bases made of silver. So the bottom is silver and the top is gold. And you shall put the veil upon the posts. And you shall carry in there, inside the veil, the Ark of the Covenant. So there is the Ark of the Covenant, number 2. The ark is inside of that part with the veil separating. And the veil shall separate to you between the holy and between the holy of the holies, and that inner of the holy of the holies. And you shall cover up by the veil the ark of the testimony in the holy of the holies. So we know that. And you shall put the table outwardly of the veil, and the lampstand directly opposite the table, near the part of the tent towards the south. So the lampstand to the south. So we have that. Here's a lampstand, and there's the table over there. So we've got those two in sync, and south is on this side down here. And the table you shall put by the part of the tent towards the north. And you shall make a draw curtain to the door of blue and purple and scarlet being twined and linen being twined, a work of an embroider, and I think it's talking about this part right in here in the front. And that would be the draw curtain, the doorway. And you shall make for the veil, and this would be that veil, 5 posts, and you shall gild them with gold, and the tips of them made of gold, and you shall cast for them 5 bases of brass instead of silver. So the bases of these in the front are not as with as rare a metal as the inner posts. So there we have the tent, the skenies, and it looks like that whole chapter, from what I'm gathering, has to do with this part here, trying to figure out everything there and how many pieces. I do not think that has anything to do with the outer part yet. We haven't got to that because it had cherubim on the inner sides here, so these must have had cherubim inside. Best I can do. So I hope it helps. We're going to go into the next chapter, 27, and we'll be going into other parts, and it starts with the horned altar. Hope you'll join us in chapter 27 and find out about the next item in the tent. Till then, God bless.